Come back.
Okay, my name is Jimmy, remember?
Okay.
I'm with you, Jimmy. Especially more to the
Meisje, ik ben een zeeman. Een zeeman is heel vaak van huis. Meisje, ik ben een zeeman. Het water, het schip is mijn thuis. Meisje, ik ben een zeeman. Kun je wel wachten zo lange tijd? Ik ga je voor heel lang verlaten. Veel geluk, het ga je goed, mijn lieve meid. Veel geluk, het ga je goed, mijn lieve meid.
The ordinary people stand, and they were not allowed to go any further inside the temple. A temple in ancient Egypt was not like a church or a mosque where people and worshippers they go to worship God. No, you have to stay outside, and the only one who has the right to go further is the high priest and the king. Nobody else is allowed to go inside. To go inside the temple, you have to go through an impregnable facade. Impregnable gate, we call it pylon. This is the first time you hear this word from me, pylon. P-Y-L-O-N. It's a Greek word of gate or facade, which consists of two high towers, and in the middle between them, the entrance exists. In every pylon you see the same picture. The king in the far left of the pylon, who holds all the enemy from the hair, as if he has a bundle of vegetables or something. All the enemy kneeling on their knees, raising up their hands, asking mercy, but no mercy. The king smites all of them with a club in his hand. And that takes place before the eyes of the witness, goddess Isis. Isis stands in front of him in a feminine body with two horns of cow above her head. It's so funny. How comes a woman, she has two horns above her head? Today we say something bad for the one who has two horns, right? Today the Indians. But the only difference between the ancient Egyptians and the modern Indians is we worshipped one particular cow. This cow should have 29 characters, should be feminine, should be short, should be brown color, should be fat, should have a white circle in the forehead. 29 characters. And this was the only cow that they worshipped. The other cows, they slay them and they ate them. If you remember the slaughterhouse that we studied in yesterday, there was a slaughterhouse and the cow lying down and the butcher slaying the cow. Remember? In the museum, the wooden model. So, although the ancient Egyptians worshipped the cow as a symbol of abundance and fertility, because the cow gives us many things, milk, meat, skin, babies. So it was a symbol of fertility, but at the same time, they did not want to worship her as a body of animal. That's why they took the feminine body as a symbol of this goddess, but at the same time took with one character of the cow, which is the two horns of cow. Now you know, the same way they built the temple. It was not an easy work to bring that stone through boats or ships to build it above the temple. The whole island is granite island, like all the islands that you might see them here left or behind you. Everywhere is granite, but the temple is made out of sandstone. So every piece of the stone was moved or transported by ships from the quarry and came all the way to here. When you look at the pylon, you might see impressive measurements for the god and the pharaoh. And you might see that the pharaoh is as high as the god, or the goddess, as high as the goddess. That shows you that the pharaoh in ancient Egypt was so big and so high person that he was almost the same level, the same rank of God. The left part is badly damaged. Who have done that? The Christians have done that. The Christians were so jealous from the fame or fame? F-A-M-E. Fame. From the fame and reputation of the queen of the goddess Isis, because of its resemblance between her and Jesus Christ and Mary. Which resemblance? I'm going to tell you when we just pass through the gate. Let's go. Yeah. Until this black, all these black points. So I'm going to tell you now the oldest story on the earth, or the first story man ever written. Story of Isis and Osiris, which till now is still played as opera, called Opera Isis and Osiris. This story tells us in the very, very old times there was two brothers. So what did they say?
Two brothers.
Yeah. This story tells us that there was two brothers in the very, very old times. There was two brothers. One called Set and his brother called Osiris. Osiris was a very good king. He was a ruler of Egypt. All the Egyptians loved him and he loved all the Egyptians. But his brother was bad. He was evil. His name was Set. Set hated everybody and he hated his brother, and he was so jealous that all the Egyptians loved his brother and nobody loved him. So he decided to kill his brother. There's also some resemblance between Cain and Abel, huh? Cain and Abel. So, this is the oldest or the first story we found it on paper. It's 3,100 years before Christ. This story of Isis and Osiris. So he took the measurements of Osiris in secret and make a golden sarcophagus made of pure gold and encrusted with lapis lazuli. And he held a party and he said to his audience in the party, I will give this sarcophagus as a present to anybody his body fits on the sarcophagus. So people were so happy that they get a golden sarcophagus for free, and everybody tried to put his body in the sarcophagus, but nobody fits, until his brother was the turn of his brother. And as soon as his brother lied in the sarcophagus, he closed the sarcophagus and hammered it, and he threw it in the Mediterranean Sea. Osiris has a wife, his wife called Isis, the hero of this temple. Isis she loved her husband very much, and she did not give him up. She looked for him everywhere, even she used magic, and by the magic she knew that her husband went to Phoenicia, today we call it Lebanon. She went behind her husband to Lebanon, and she got a sarcophagus and her husband, and she came back to Egypt. That's the story literally, a translation of it as it was written since 5,000 years ago. Set knew that his brother is back again in town. He got mad and he looked for his brother everywhere until he found him, and he cut his body into 14 pieces, and he threw the 14 pieces in different places of Egypt. The loyal wife did not give her husband up again, and she looked for him everywhere. But this time, unfortunately, she found only 13 pieces. 13 pieces. Ah, someone is laughing. The 14th was not there. What can she make without the 14th piece? A fish found it delicious, so a fish swallowed it. So, what can she do now with only 13 pieces? I'm going to tell you when we go further in the chapter. Two pylons, two gates, the first and second. And after the second pylon, we see an open court, partially was open, and has almost 10 pillars. Those 10 pillars represent a bundle of papyrus and lotus and palm leaves, as you might see that pillar. It's just a feeling that you are in a garden, a stone garden, eternal garden. Garden stays forever with blooming capitals. That's the house of the God. If you are rich people, you live in a palace. Your palace always is surrounded with nice garden. That when you look out, you look at the green color everywhere. The same thing. That was the house of God. So when the God looks around him, he should see the beautiful garden with the graceful pillars, so elegant pillars with beautiful capitals. All the capitals are open, are blooming. In the architrave between on the top of the gates, you might see a door hinge on the left for wooden door. That door was encrusted with gold leaf outside and inside. The same like the 4 shrines of Tutankhamun we saw them before. They were made of wood covered with gold leaves. And at the very top you might see antlers. Antlers in the gate. Here. I see antlers with spread wings. Because the pharaohs believed that the material support or the practical support of the pillars to carry the roof maybe was not enough. So they needed spiritual support, which is adler with spread wings. With his 2 spread wings, he would carry the roof of the temple. And something also we see interesting, scarab. At the end of the line of adler, you see scarab with 2 wings. This scarab, as you know, was very important in ancient Egypt. And if you remember, when you were in the museum, you saw the golden room of Tutankhamun. You might have seen many necklaces and many bracelets. All of them have scarabs. All of them. Yeah. And even some people until now they have scarabs in a necklace, and if you ask them why, say, it's good luck. You don't know what scarab means. So it was not a good luck. It was a god of reincarnation or resurrection. The ancient Egyptians look at him, and in the morning he comes out again from the sand. If you try to follow the scarab, what will happen to you? If you put your head in the sand and dive, you never come out. But the scarab could dig a hole in for himself and build a house and sleep all night or die, and in the morning he comes out again from. So he could kill himself and bury himself and wake up again after death. That's why. Did I tell you about the mummification? That the heart stays in the mummy? So, and the hand will put in cross position. So this scarab, in its daily tour of dying and burying himself and waking up, he will be like Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, and will wake up our hearts, like alarming clock. Get up, the new day is coming. That's why always all the pharaohs have got scarabs near the hearts to awake them up after death. So it was an angel of reincarnation. And they call it Khibr, which means who found himself by himself.
What is the date on the top?
Begun. The leaves from the very top of the temple to a certain length. Under this length, he stopped taking the leaves, or he filled the space with certain pictures. Those are the pictures of the god Habi. Can you say the name? Habi?
Habi.
Habi, to say it. Habi. The god Habi was a man with a big belly, like your tour guide, and he had a breast for 4 months. When this water comes down, we see the wealth come to us, the papyrus and lotus and plants and vegetables, because the Nile comes not alone, it comes with mud, and this mud is a very important thing for the farmers. So when the water comes down, it comes out the swamps of delta. Look above the head of the god, the Nile, you see papyrus and lotus. So the Nile comes with papyrus and lotus above his head. And that's what always you see. After the 4 months of the flood, the water goes down, creating little lakes. And from these lakes, the swamps appear, and many grass and many plants. And that's the god Nile. That's why it was shown in this way, that when the water goes down, it appears these gods which carry with them all this wealth. Now we know why the pharaohs had this exaggerating part formed on the skirt. You know it now very well. You learned the lesson. Who is this pharaoh who wrote down these writings? Di an sa ra nibkha'u nisobiti nibtawi. What does it mean? For many people, in the last 2 centuries, all those writings were just like a puzzle. They were obscure. Just decoration the pharaohs of man have made to fill, to fill the space in the temple and don't leave any part empty. Until in 1797, the French campaign with Napoleon Bonaparte, he brought with him one of the scientists called Jean-Francois Champollion. He found a piece of stone in the Rosetta branch of the Nile, we call it now Rosetta stone, and this stone is a message with 3 different languages. With hieroglyphic, the puzzle that nobody could read it. Second was Latin, and third message was written by hieratic, which is the last form of the hieroglyphic. And in those 3 message of 3 languages, it was always a cartouche like this one. And the cartouche at the very before is a sign where the king only or the queen could write their names in. And the name was Cleopatra. By the way, if you'd like to read the name Cleopatra in it, for example, I'm going to read it to you. This king, his name is P. P is a mattress, you know, the mattress? Mat. A mat is P. Remember what half circle is? T. P, T is pet. Pet. Lion is L. Lion is L. P, T, L, petel. O is a comma. Petello. M is an owl, or sometimes this sign. Telom. One feather is I, 2 feathers is Y. Telom, E, Ptolemy. S is walking stick. Ptolemaeus. So the pharaoh here is not Egyptian pharaoh, his name is Ptolemaeus. And D, An, mean giving life. Sa, Ra, the son of the sun. Nebcha'u, the king shines. That's a symbol of Upper and Lower Egypt. And then Nebtawi, the king of the 2 lands, Upper and Lower Egypt. So giving life, the son of the sun, the king shines, the king of Upper and Lower Egypt, the lord of the 2 lands. And his name was Ptolemaeus. Now we know that the one who built this temple is not ancient Egyptian pharaoh, he's a Greek one. He lived here 300 BC and his name is Ptolemaeus. Let's go further. For side opinions, the main opinion is because of the water. In the Holy of the Holies, you see always stone pedestal. What was above the stone pedestal? Always a boat. A boat or a bark. Above the boat, the statue of the god made of pure gold. Let us stop talking about the Holy of the Holies and such things and start again our story, continue our story. She found only 13 pieces. One of the most important pieces to her is not there. So what should she make now without her 14th piece? How can she make love to him without it? Help me.
Horn.
Huh?
She got a horn off the cow.
Doesn't help. So she complained to the god Aswan and she said him, I would like to make love with my husband and hold her husband, who was in the form of mummy. His body was wrapped because he only had 13 pieces. And through this connection, which is spiritual connection, not sexual connection, she got a baby, and that baby was Horus. And here he is. After she got a baby, she held him so gently by her left hand, and she held her breast by her right hand and gave him her milk. See the sympathy and pity by the pharaoh since more than 2,000 years. And this Horus was known by the side of ponytail. The kids in ancient Egypt, they have always a side ponytail, which is still now known by some of the girls, but the side ponytail is very sexy. It was also known in ancient Egypt. And that one is Horus that we're going to see him at the temple of Edfu. Until here I stop the story and I compare between this story and the story of Jesus Christ and Mary. This story was composed 3,100 before Christ. Isis said, I have a baby without marriage with anyone, and here she suckled him. And Mary said the same thing 3,000 years later. She said, I have got a baby without marriage with anyone, I'm a virgin. Right? So the same story was made in Egypt before, and that's why the Christians were so jealous from Isis and destroyed all her temples. And not only that, they changed it to be a church, to be used as a church after that. So now let us see the last part, which is the original Persian temple. The wall and the water was sucked out from it, and the temple was dismantled piece by piece. He took 500,000 pictures for every piece of the temple, and every piece was numbered. And he had to wait 4 years because the last piece of the temple, which was moved from there, was the first piece to be built here. That's why it took 4 years, and you see there was no road between the temple and here. You have to move every piece of stone by boats. And it was very hard work. It was a race with time that you have to set the temple so quickly before the temple was disappeared. And now, see the original site of the temple is under the water. And this is a new house of the temple of Isis. It's another island higher than the original temple, which now totally became part of our history. It's not there. Yeah. So now we will have 5 minutes. We like to take pictures, look around. 5 minutes, and then we need to have a water slide.
Was there a reason why that guy there?
Straw roof, concrete or cement, or you bring some bundle of bamboo, tie them with some ropes, and form a pillar. So as the first built house, but house not for them, for the god, it should be the same design, the same technique. But the difference is the material. My house made of mud bricks, the house of the god is made of stone. So they were influenced by the shape of bundle of papyrus plants tied together with some horizontal lines, and this to form the pillar which should carry the temple. Now we know why these 5 horizontal lines. Okay.
Five t-shirt.
One